in the driver's seat and Speed as the co-pilot.
So, Mr. KBR,
What's happening, bro?
good. Finally, I get to meet you, and thank you so much, finally, for pulling out time.
It's a pleasure, brother.
And I can't tell you how excited I have been to talk to you. कब से आपके पीछे पड़ा हूँ, and I'm very sure more than me, there are so many people, young boys and girls, who look up to you, look up to your life, look up to the way you drive your car, look up to the kind of works you've done with your car, and admire one fact that, you know, at least you are using your car at least to the maximum potential possible.
I think that's how it should be.
And once you're done, then you upgrade yourself to
Exactly.
another
Like,
car.
okay, it's done. Iski limits ho gayi hai. Let's move to another one.
So on that note, let's start with understanding your journey a little bit. How did your love for cars and driving evolve into a passion for, you know, high-speed cars and performance cars?
See, I'll tell you something. I would say it was always in me because as a kid, my father, my mother, they used to tell me. I mean, they still tell me that I would never eat till the time they would take me out, put me in a Maruti, which we had like the 800, and I have to be on the steering wheel even if the car is shut. I would play with the steering and somebody would feed me. So that was my everyday schedule of eating. Morning, evening, breakfast, whatever. और खाना तभी खाएगा ये लड़का जब ये गाड़ी में बैठेगा. And I somehow recollect some of it, but I do know that हाँ ऐसा होता था. Because slowly and gradually when I was, you know, growing up, my father used to tell me that you have to understand now, this is not how it works. You sit with us in the room. Like, you know, in our home we have a thing called Dastar Khan. हम उसपे बैठ के खाते हैं. तो तुम्हें बैठना है वो. Like, okay. So I somehow recollected some way to the other. Like, I know it was always there. But then slowly and gradually, he would never give me a car till the time I turned 18 because he was like, you know, he's completely against the thing that you have, you know, like how some people drive without licenses. So he was very scared. Like he would tell me, go take a driver, sit along, do what you want, but never without the license. But still, you know, at times how we kids are, how we kids are. So I basically started taking the car out alone when I was 16.
Okay.
But I would get beaten up every third day, fourth day. When he would get to know, he'd beat me up and be like, you don't understand. I will go to jail. This, that, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, next I would do the same. Being a kid, you know what I mean?
I can relate to you because I've gone through this.
So I'd come back from school and I would go to the parking and check where the keys are. Not, you know, tell anyone anything. Just see where the keys are, what is happening and all that. And just plan everything in my mind. कि हाँ ये पड़ा है, वहाँ वो पड़ा है, गाड़ी निकालनी है, गायब होना है, वापस आना है. Because it was all like you know, like that छोटा mini master plan happening in my mind always. So then slowly and gradually when I turned 18, I got my first car, which was a Hyundai Accent.
Okay.
It was actually my brother's car, my elder brother's car.
Okay.
So my dad gave it to me. He's like, you know, you have it.
Petrol,
And
वही 1.5.
it was a petrol 1.5, yeah, 1.5. So I was a kid, पैसे भी ज़्यादा नहीं मिलते थे, and you know, obviously my father being someone who's not into cars at all, you know, a businessman, but he would just think that, you know, spending anything on cars more than a car which goes from point A to point B is stupidity. So, you know, it was very difficult for him to make him understand that I want to put this, I want to put this and that. So I just realized नहीं होगा boss ये. You know, I have to do something on my own to do this, you know. So since then only I started getting into things like, okay, someone wants a car. Brother, I'll give you a car. I'll take 20,000 out of it. You know, I would deal some way or the other. Not even being in the deal, I would connect two people because I was into cars. I knew people, so I would get that share from that, and I would be so happy. And I would never use it anywhere without even getting it. It was already paid to a person because चीजें लग चुकी होती थी पहले. मुझे पता आराध्या कल गाड़ी ले रहा है, 20,000 कल आने, तो आज ही जाके मैं चीजें लगाऊंगा. कल वो पैसे मेरे पास आएंगे ही नहीं, सीधे आराध्या के अकाउंट से उसके अकाउंट में जाएंगे जिससे मैंने एक्सचेंज लगाई है.
Correct.
So this started like this, and then after Accent, Arush, who's no more anymore, like our autopsych, he was a very big part of, you know, he was an inspiration actually. I mean, there was a time I used to just get up and go to Arush and sit with him for a day and do nothing, but just listen to his talks, see what he's doing, because technically and honestly, उस time कोई था ही नहीं India में. I won't say India, but Delhi में. Arush was someone, even if he was making those fiber bumpers or whatever, and it was something that would fascinate every you know, teenager that, okay, oh my God, it's a modified car. So he helped me with things. I remember the first exhaust I put on Accent, Arush gave it to me.
Okay.
He said, you know, you put it, when you have money, you give it to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a kid. So I was like, Arush, I don't have money to even put it. You know, I have to fit it. So he said, "Acha, tu chhod de gaadi. Kal come take it, and I'll give it to you then." So he fit the first exhaust on my accent. I remember he didn't take any money from me. He was like, just have it. It was a used exhaust or whatever, but I was happy because it was just the noise.
Correct.
So I was like, okay, fine, it works. So then it started slowly and gradually started doing things with it. I started getting more involved in the business and all that, and paisa aane lag gaya thoda bahut. I was getting money, I was getting salary from my father and everything. जो भी. It was a proper thing कि हाँ salary मिल रही है महीने पे. It's not like जाऊंगा पैसा निकाल लूंगा and all that. He was like, no boss, you work, you take money and you do what you want with it.
Yeah.
So then obviously कोई था नहीं इंडिया में जो would do something to the cars that would make them go very fast or something. There was no tuner, to be honest.
Right.
I'm being very honest to you. The only things we had were like piggy bank issues to dodge the issue a little. Like maximum you can have 30 horsepower. I do not remember anyone doing a stage 3, this, that, blah, blah at that point of time because nahi tha koi, honestly. So having a small exhaust with a Automech headers, Automech was very famous those days, and was like, okay, bus hamari gaadi mein tune hai and filter hai and all that, So we were happy on cloud 9. And after that, I remember Aman. He had a company, Amanpreet Ahluwalia.
Acha, Aman. Auto Attitudes.
Auto Attitudes now. So he had a company back then called Speedbug.
Okay.
So I went to Speedbug. There was a thing called Flamethrower. जो नया आया था.
Okay.
So Aman said, come to me. I will do it.
Okay.
For that, we had to empty the catalytic converter, and there was nobody who would do MIG welding for the catalytic converter. To empty it and put it back.
Okay.
Then I remember Aman had a Hyundai workshop, Hyundai or Maruti workshop also, dealership something.
Okay.
So we went to that dealership, got the cat out, emptied the cat, and then did the MIG welding on that, and then put a flamethrower, which was apparently very famous in Delhi at that time. कि हाँ भाई flamethrower है कुछ. So it was a very chapri kind of a thing, but उस time के लिए बहुत अच्छा था. And I'm talking back in 2006, 5 ऐसा scene ना, a flame coming out of the exhaust and people like wow ये क्या है. तो बहुत times थे ऐसे. Then I bought a Swift. Then I got into in-car entertainment like audios. So LBM Paji, हमारा low bass maker, he did my setup of the subs.
Okay.
Gyro being one of the shops which was very famous in Delhi, and my very good friends used to be there. So they did my audio for the vocals, like they did my components, my amps and everything. LBM did my subwoofers, and I had a Swift. So at that time also we used to drag. But the drag that time was dB drag, decibel drag. So we used to have decibel drag, की loudest system किसका है. So everything had its own charm. Then slowly and gradually when India का scene ऐसा होने लगा कि यहाँ पे tuners थोड़े बहुत आने लग गए. We had people who were with us, who studied and who got into things. So we also got into cars which were like, चलो tune friendly है, कुछ है, क्या है. After Swift, I got a MK1 VRS.
I think that was, from what I remember, that was a huge change in the way you drive.
Yeah. It was a 1.8 turbocharged. That was the only turbocharged petrol car in India at that point of time.
Yes,
which used to come on.
Correct.
150 horsepower, I remember. So that number itself, a 3-digit number, was a big thing in India.
Correct.
Was 3 digits. Horsepower.
उस टाइम तो ये होता था, I still remember कि 100 bhp भी अगर है तो it used to mean something.
Palio 1.6 used to be 100 horsepower. I remember that car was so hyped up that okay 1.6 naturally.
And then Daewoo की आती थी Nexia.
Cielo
का upgraded version Nexia, which was exactly 100 bhp.
Exactly, I remember. So that car, I wanted to tune it, and then we had one tuner apparently who used to call himself a tuner at that point of time. I don't want to name him.
Okay.
So he was the only one who used to say, I will do a remap to the car and all that. I said, okay, fine, boss, I'm getting the car to you. So I went to him with all the things and everything. So the guy sits in my car, takes it for a test run, comes back with all the broken bushes, one shocker mount out and everything, probably drove it like a rally car or something, and tells me I can't map this car. I said, why? The guy goes like, it is not running up to its potential. It's not running on the stock potential.
Okay.
I said, as in what's the stock potential? He's like, the car says 150 horsepower. I said, okay, what do you think it's doing right now? He's like, 100. I said, and what do you claim to be after the remap if it was a stock car? He said, 180. I said, okay, let's do one thing. You tune it and make it 130. If it's 100, you do it 130.
Okay.
He's like, no, I can't do it. It's against my work ethics, this, that, blah, blah. So apparently, I think he couldn't do it. He was just bluffing. And there was a big issue on the forum on TMHP that I literally gave it off to him there that you're nothing. Then finally, I was so irritated that I called my friends in Bombay.
Okay.
Viper, Jignesh Goradia, used to be someone I used to be close to, and he's a very good friend. I called him, I said, this is the thing. He said, boss, there's a person called Ranjit Pardeshi.
Okay.
He runs a company called AR Motorsports. You need to call him.
Okay.
I gave him a ticket.
Huh.
I told him, come stay at my house
Huh.
and tune the car.
Okay.
He flew in, he tuned the car. We were literally on the flight tunes at times, checking what gear, kya ho raha hai, kya nahi on the expressway, doing all that. And then he called for another tune from where God knows what was happening at that point. Mujhe pata nahi kya ho raha tha. But he tuned the car.
Okay.
And I remember I asked him for a BOV. And in Delhi, nobody even knew where to put the BOV. So these guys were so, obviously, down south how people are. They're too much into cars, especially on the performance thing.
Yeah.
So he got me a HKS sequential blow-off valve, I remember. I still remember.
Okay.
He put it on the car and we tuned the car. And after that, I was on cloud 9 because, that tuning feeling, because the car was manual and every time I used to shift it, it was like...
Wheel spin.
And that noise, I was like, oh man, I am driving a R34 probably or something.
You had upgraded the turbo also, I remember.
That was after that.
Acha.
That was after that. That was after that. First I did that. And then slowly and gradually when I understood that someone can do this, this guy is doing it, then I called for a turbo from him.
Then you became like, yaar, aise kaise, ab to aur karenge.
Exactly. So, it was like, okay, because वो ना थोड़ा भरोसा हो जाता है इंसान में like. Then I called for a turbo. Then he sent me a turbo. He came after 1 week of installing the turbo. He's like, get a local mechanic, get the turbo installed, don't do anything else.
Okay.
I'll get the coils and plugs. Probably he wanted me to run one step colder or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
And at that time, fuel was also an issue. We didn't have good fuel. The maximum we could get was, I think, 93 or 97, ऐसा कुछ था.
Okay.
Not even 97.
97
not even 90. Normal थे, 93 भी नहीं था, I don't remember, just normal fuel था. So, after 1 week he came, he tuned the car, and the car was running fine. It was perfect, but there was no low end. Like the car was like, it was almost dying and all that. I was like, okay, chalo, koi baat nahi. But उस time पता ही नहीं था क्या है क्या नहीं.
Turbo भी तो I think it was a fixed geometry only, ना? That time तो VGT तो होगा.
नहीं VGT नहीं था. So उसके बाद पता भी नहीं था चीजें. ये चीजें अब realize होती कि उस time low end नहीं था.
Correct.
उस time I was happy because when the boost would kick in, it would go mad. And then the car started overheating. Obviously not knowing things about it that time, I was like, क्यों उल्टी हो रही है, शायद ज़्यादा चला दिया, कम चलाओ. So there was no issue at that time that I want to upgrade my intercooler or everything. पता ही नहीं था ये सब. I would just slow down for a while and the car would be okay.
Okay.
There was no track driving at that time, so we didn't know what exactly how much abuses the car takes when you take it to the track and all that. So that phase went on. Then I got into the rear wheel drive phase. I bought the 330i in 2011. So that was like a game changer. Because I really wanted to shift to rear wheel drive after having all that power on the front wheels. I was like, yeah, imagine this power on the rear wheels. I would start dancing and doing this and that and all that. So it was a thing that I was like, okay, fine, let's.
I think you would have been in that zone. यार ये भी होता है इसके अंदर.
Exactly, ये भी है हमारे पास. So I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. So it took a while for me to make my dad understand that I'm gonna get this car now. He's like, but why is this 3 Series so expensive? Because at that point of time I remember a 520D was somewhere around 40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
So when I ordered the 330i, it had to come on order. So it costed about 4460 or something. Because they never used to, it was a CBU unit at
CBU
that
था, हाँ वही पूछने वाला था.
So he's like, why is this expensive than a car which is bigger than this? I was saying, no, this is a nice car, this, that. I've taken another interior, this, that. So he was like, something is fishy, kuch ho raha hai, I was like, Dad, please let me buy it now, this is the money we have and let's do it. He's like, okay, fine, just get it. So it took 6 months for the car to come. I got the car, I booked it in 2011 June, I think, and I took delivery in 2012 January.
Okay.
And after that, I started doing whatever I could with the car. Having that 270 horsepower car at that point of time was something else. I mean, obviously there were not much of cars outside on the roads. Thi, lekin utni nahi thi, and they were not with the drivers.
And you had done good amount of work on that also, I remember.
I'm just saying, when I bought it, the cars were there outside in the market, but they were not with the people who drive it.
Okay.
They would come out on the weekends, like just take a stroll around and put it back. Nowadays, we still have people who drive it, rip it, like लगता है कि हाँ गाड़ी का potential use हो रहा है. So then slowly I started that process of modification aram se. But in that car I was more of a person who wanted the looks of the car to get like the carbon fiber was that Kida was carbon fiber.
But so you had like full carbon fiber bonnet.
I had everything carbon.
Yeah, everything carbon.
I'll tell you. So Arush obviously was the guy.
Yeah.
God bless his soul. So he called me. He's like, आगे गाड़ी I was like, हाँ. He's like, I'm ordering the parts. So he somehow was very, happy for my cars at least when I used to get him. I am ordering the parts. And I had a very good comfort level with him because he never used to ask me for payment like, आगे payment दे दो. So my scene was Arush के साथ that गाड़ी आ गई, parts लग गए, 50,000 रुपए दे दो, आगे चलो, थोड़े टाइम बाद थोड़ा और दे देंगे, थोड़े टाइम बाद थोड़ा. Arush was very, like, it was very comfortableness was there. So he ordered, and I swear when I say this, I did not know what he ordered. He called me, he said, I have ordered parts, they will come in a month. You go to Kashmir if you want to, come back and we fit them. I said, what did you order? No, that's up to me. So we had that comfort level. That I was like, okay.
I can imagine
I was
you
like,
constantly thinking about your wallet at that time.
I was like, okay. I was like, शायद मंगाया है नहीं मंगाया मेरे को ये चाहिए. He's like, let me do this car. I was like, okay. So when I reached after a month, I didn't go to Kashmir. I remember I was here only. So he called me. He's like, parts आ गए. Come tomorrow. We'll fit it, but get the whole day free. Like पूरा दिन लग जाएगा. Okay. So I see a carbon bonnet.
Okay.
I see a carbon boot. I see carbon splitters.
Okay.
I see carbon diffusers. I see carbon mirror caps.
Okay.
I see carbon fins. I see carbon eyelids.
Because I still remember you posting a picture of the carbon trunk. I remember very evidently with that lip.
I
thought you were the one who ordered it.
CSL boot. No, he was the one who ordered it. CSL boot.
Achha.
So, अब हुआ क्या था? While the things were in transit, hood ऊपर से टूट गया था. So when we unboxed the hood, it was broken. So more than me being sad because technically I did not even order it. So मेरे लिए तो जो भी मैं देख रहा था मैं खुश था because first time I was like टूटा कोई बात नहीं चलेगा. And Arush was like, how did this break? Arush का मुंह इतना हो गया. I was like, we're ordering another one. We'll sell this, do something to this one. I was like, Arush, relax, chill, करते हैं कुछ, don't worry. So I always had those 3 M stripes, छोटे छोटे bonnet के ऊपर.
I remember.
That was because it was broken. So I told Arush,
this I didn't know.
I was like, Arush, let's not waste the money. Let's keep it there. He's like, no, I want it to be perfect. It's going to be my show car, I was like, still, it's going to look nice. Don't worry, just.
मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा कबीर. इतने लोगों ने, including myself, we've loved that M stripes, and I've actually asked so many people, यार ये M तो नहीं है.
Yeah, exactly.
ये तो 330 है.
इतना सा था वो. It was maximum 4 inches on the top of the hood because छोटा था तो दोनों sides करे हुए थे. So Arush said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, just sandpaper it and let me get the stickers. आप बाकी fitting कराओ. So मैं गया, मैंने वो M stripe बनवा के लाया number plate वाले से. I think I paid him $200 for two sides. And I was like, Arush, fit this. He's like, नहीं अच्छा लगेगा. I was like, डाल के तो देख. He's like, नहीं अच्छा लग रहा. I was like, नहीं अच्छा लग रहा because you know what is under it. I was like, get aside. Call someone. Video call someone and ask him, how is this? He called a few people. He said, oh, amazing, Arush. It's okay. He's like, okay, fine, let's do it. Let's see. The whole car got ready and everything. Then after, I think 6 months or 7 months, I found a guy who wanted the hood.
Okay.
I was like, Arush, order the hood. But I told the guy, I was like, it's broken a little, it's covered with this, you won't understand this, blah, blah. So I sold that hood. Then Arush called for a GTS style hood with the vents and everything.
Okay.
So finally, wo hood अच्छी तरह आया and we fixed it. I was like, okay, I'm so happy and everything. And then everything went off. And then that car, it got T-boned in 2017 or 18.
Oh, okay. I remember.
And it was uske baad I didn't buy a car for a long time because there was this guy, a friend of mine called Manish. While I was driving my 330i, he used to drive the M3, the V8 NA. So his car was so clean. I was to tell him, I was like, Manish, I want this car. He's like, brother, it's a promise to you. Whenever I'll sell it, it is to you. Otherwise, I won't sell it. So after my car got totaled, every day I used to call Manish. Manish, क्या करना है? He's like, यार अभी रुक जा, मैं तेरे को ही दूंगा जब भी दूंगा, promise. I was like, done. Manish calls me mid-COVID. जब COVID चालू हुआ, mid-COVID.
2020.
Kabir, you want the car? I was like, yeah. He's like, just give me 2 lakhs right now. Rest we can figure out how we do. क्या करना है क्या नहीं. तू गाड़ी ले जा. I was like, okay. I went, I paid him money. And जो भी था क्या था. और गाड़ी मैंने COVID के बीच में Alhamdulillah, I had some savings करके, and it did not really, it was not a burden because Manish took the payment slowly from me because he wanted it in COVID. Payment लेके करेगा भी क्या बंदा कुछ है ही नहीं करने को. So he took it as and when he wanted the money, and he had that trust in me, and I had the trust in him. He took the money slowly and gradually, and I had the V8 M3, which I always adored. I always wanted. It was like a dream car for me, especially that engine. We had naturally aspirated, the S65 engine. That's a dream. Honestly, like I would never sell that car if we did not have
Honestly,
that.
I became a little sad when I saw that post with that "See You Again" song going on at the back
Bro, that car
loading
was
the car in the
something
truck.
else.
Where is it now?
It's in Bombay. It's with a friend of mine, Anthony. And the guy he's such a sweet guy. Whenever I go to Bombay, he sends the car to me.
So nice.
He's like, have it. It's okay, have it. And that makes me want to visit Bombay more, to be honest, I mean, no amount of power or no amount of, technology and anything can
joy.
fill that void.
It's just joy.
That was pure raw car, like that was like a driver's car.
Yeah.
And ठीक है फिर वो गाड़ी ली. In that also I faced a lot of issues.
Oh, okay.
So when I got the car, so there was this hesitation between 2000 to 3000 RPM.
Okay.
Every time you would flow the car.
Okay.
So I called Manish. I was like, Manish, yaar, what is happening with the car? Are you running a tune? He's like, yeah, I'm running a quantum tune called Akshay. Akshay's done it. So I got in touch with Akshay. I was like, Akshay. He's like, no, I didn't tune the car. Kuch nahi hai isme and all that. Probably Phil has done it or something. I don't know. So technically there was no proper चीजें थी नहीं कि किसने क्या करा है. So I figured, I was like, पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. And then first thing I changed was spark plugs. I was like, शायद spark plug में problem होगी, क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं हुआ. I was like, okay, maybe next step is ignition coils. The ignition coils I changed. Nothing happened. I was like, अब जो ये hesitation का issue है, it can only be with the fuel now. So I changed the fuel pressure pump.
Okay.
The car's still the same. And I'm frustrated as hell.
Obviously, because that
So
costs
I'm like,
money.
because everything that could cause those issues is changed. It's brand new from BMW.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So finally, I spoke to my friend, what's his name?
Manish.
No. Bombay. Limitless.
Okay.
Horsepower Cartel. Santosh.
Horsepower cartel. Correct.
So he called me. I was like, bro, what's happening? I was like, do you have them? She's like, no, bro, no. I was like, what tune are you running? He's like, MSS Alpine. I was like, I need the number or I need contact with the guy. So I contacted the guy. He sent a dongle, which came in a week. And then when you get the dongle, it's assigned to your VIN number. Then you write to them and they send you a tune. So he sent me a tune. His name was Alex, the tuner. I still know him. He's a very good friend of mine now.
Okay.
So Alex said, I need the full configuration of the exhaust you're running.
Okay.
So I was quite surprised. I was like, yeah, exhaust tune. I was like, it's a straight pipe. He's like, no, send me pictures. I want to see if it's an H pipe, if it's an X pipe, if it's just a box, what it is. I want to see everything. So I had to take the car on the lift, take a picture and then send it to him. Then I asked him, I said, what happened? He's like, the issues that you're facing is because of the midsection that you've changed. And I was surprised to the core that exhaust, जिसका काम सिर्फ हवा बाहर निकालना है, ये कर सकता है. So I was like, ये बंदा भी पागल है. He doesn't know anything. Somebody has put me to a person who doesn't know shit about it. Fuck it. And finally, he sent me a tune and the car runs as smooth as it could. And I was shocked. I called the guy. I was like, I need to know what have you done.
Okay.
He's like, this engine has 3 intakes. Like 3 places from where the engine, the air comes in. He's like, this engine is very, very, very massively, based on air intake, which is like the back pressure, which is everything, because everything about this engine is air. He's like, even if you change the minutest of the settings of the exhaust or anything, he's like, it'll create issues. He's like, your tune was according to the stock mid pipe. And what I was running was Akrapovic titanium test pipes, IPE mid pipes, because I wanted a louder pitch. IPE was loud and Akrapovic was very subtle. And I was running Akrapovic titanium end cans.
Okay.
So he's like, the midsection in the stock car is an H pipe.
Okay.
The 2 H pipes.
Understood.
He's like, what you're running is an X pipe. He's like, that's why the issues are there.
Oh,
He sent me a tune and the difference was, in Hindi we say na, Asman Zameen ka farak, wo bhi kam hai. Then I had another friend of mine who had this car, Zorawar in Chandigarh, Thrive to Drive.
Right. Correct.
I called him. I was like, bro. So I called him very pyar se. I called him Sardara. I was like, Sardara, you have that issue? He's like, bro, don't ask. I was like, order this. He's like, no. I was like, order this. He ordered, he called me after he fitting tune. He's like, it took him 2-3 times to, retune, and because that guy keeps sending you the tune.
Correct.
He's like, put this, tell me what's the issue. Now put this, tell me what's the issue. Now put this, tell me what's the issue. And finally he sends you a tune. Like a proper, जैसे वो fitting नहीं होती कपड़ों की, थोड़ा ट्रायल करके send. Bro, Zurawa called me. Zurawa was like, bro, I have never driven this car like this. So it was like such a massive difference. Like every day we learn. So what I learned that day was something that I never could expect, that you know ये भी issue कर सकता है, because एक pipe है, उसको हवा बाहर निकालनी है. In layman's knowledge, language.
बैक प्रेशर वगैरह का उस टाइम दिमाग नहीं काम करता.
यार वो अगर मेरे को और तेरे को अगर वो चीजें पता होंगी, what will tuners do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, fine, this works. Then finally I had to let go of that car because of the 15-year rule that we have in Delhi. It was a 2009. So this year the car, I couldn't drive it after this year. So I gave it to a very, very close friend, very nice friend, a very sweet guy called Anthony in Bombay. And he's kept the car. And after he took the car, he spent a lot of money on the car. He straight away went to the company. He changed the rod bearings because that was the most common issue in that.
Correct.
So, you know, he wanted to do everything, and he called me day before yesterday. And he's like, bro, I've just done 500 kilometers since I've taken the car because the car's come back. What do I do now? And now he called me for the same issue because for him, the car was loud.
Okay.
So he's put back stock pipes.
Oh.
So he's like, bro, the car's hesitating. When you gave me the car, it wasn't. So then when I explained him, he's like, no, this is not possible. I said, I used to say the same thing. But trust me, put the stock pipe back. Then you'll understand that the pipe I was running, the map is according to that. Otherwise, you'll always keep thinking that BMW people screwed it up for you.
Correct.
So you'll know.
Ah.
So it's with him. And then the FAT came in the picture. Again, Kunal's car, very close friend.
Achha, correct. Kush was mentioning.
Yeah. So I have pictures of this car with my 330i doing track days together.
Oh.
Yeah. And then pictures of this car with my M3, which was a V8, doing donuts around this car for a BMW India video. Because Kunal used to work for BMW India. So BMW India wanted to shoot it. So Kunal is with his car in the middle. I'm doing donuts around him for the BMW India video and all that. So it was all like manifestation. You know, I used to look at this car in 2012 and be like, wow, inline 6 twin turbo.